Airway's parent company IAG reporting substantial hits to demand because of the coronavirus. IAG is warning it cannot provide guidance for 2020 because of the virus. EasyJet says it's cancelling a number of flights out of Italy. However, the low-cost carrier also says it's still too soon for any details on the impact. Brian Sumers is Senior Aviation Business Editor at Skift. He joins us live now. Brian, thank you so much for being with us. So what can airlines really do here to shield themselves from the impact?
Oh, airlines can't do much to shield themselves from the impact. It is not good. I'm talking to people who say that this is the worst crisis for airlines since at least 2008 and maybe post 9/11. People right now don't want to travel, and it's a problem. We're seeing big trade shows canceled. We're seeing companies come out and say their people shouldn't fly. You know, in the short term, airlines have cut flights to Asia, China especially. Now they're cutting some flights to Italy. But you can see how this is going to go. The virus isn't going to be, staying in Asia or Italy for very long. It's going to go worldwide, and it's just not looking good for global travel demand. People want to wait and see what happens, and I think very few people are buying plane tickets right now.
And so it's just important to point out that it's not just about travel to Italy, which is the epicenter of the outbreak in Europe. This is affecting flights to Europe, period.
It's affecting flights worldwide. You wouldn't believe how many companies out there, frankly, including my own, are coming out there and telling people, you know what, you probably shouldn't fly for the next 3 months. Let's come out and see how this goes. Big travel trade show in Berlin that was canceled. It's going to be coming up in a few weeks. A lot of corporations are just saying, let's be safe rather than sorry. Look, nobody knows, how dangerous this coronavirus is, but a lot of travel is discretionary. For the most part. People don't have to travel, even for business. And so folks are just saying, I want to stay home right now. And that's very bad news if you're an airline or, if you own airline stock.
We're seeing oil prices falling. I mean, ordinarily that would benefit airlines. Falling fuel costs would benefit airlines, but it's not really much of a silver lining this time around.
Right. In the very beginning of this crisis, there were some analysts that came out there and said, look, with China demand down, oil prices are going to fall. This is going to be great news, especially for U.S. airlines. The domestic market is so good. They're going to have much lower costs. But now it's becoming apparent that the drop in oil prices is not going to fix the major problem of a drop in demand. It's hard to say for certain, but I suspect in the United States, within a few months, we're going to be seeing a lot of empty airplanes, stuff people haven't seen for 10 years or more, not based on anything except a culture of fear that's developing.
So how do airlines issue guidance at a time like this? I mean, obviously a lot of them actually can't, but when you compare this sort of black swan event to various others we've seen in the past, like SARS, for example, 9/11 even, how does it compare to those?
You know what, they don't issue guidance. You mentioned IAG earlier. I think last week United Airlines said it was coming out and suspending guidance. Nobody knows how this is going to go. A lot of the things in the past have been relatively short-term, right? When you're in them, when it's the post-9/11 period or 2008, 2009, you don't feel they're short-term because it could be 2 years or so. But, we're not going to be in a position 5 years from now where people aren't flying. The world it's kind of like one world. People want to fly. They do. They're just waiting for that opportunity to feel like it's safe again. The good news is that airlines in a lot of areas in the world are much stronger than they were 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and they should be able to withstand this. Certainly, there's some weak airlines that are going to be in trouble long term, but if you're talking about the major U.S. or European airlines, they can withstand something like this. They may have to cut capacity and park some planes for a little bit in a worst-case scenario, but they're going to be okay.
Yeah, consolidation has helped a lot of airlines in the industry be able to weather a storm like this. Brian Sumers, live for us there. Thank you so much.